Well, hello, and welcome to the October 30th edition of Game on Hockey. How do you do, friendo? My name is Graham Mosimann. So excited to have you here for your quick look into the world of hockey in under 10 minutes here on the Game Over Network. Let's not waste any time as we want to get things going very, very soon with a couple of stories, including Connor McDavid's status with the Edmonton Oilers, a very kind of weird anniversary in the National Hockey League, as well. A player being scratched for a kind of silly-ish sort of reason. We'll have all that and more here on today's episode of Game on Hockey. But before we do, I want to tell you all about Hyperdrive Hockey. It's a brand new show from Game Over Network, hosted by Max Stephanie and their producer Kevin. A decidedly Eastern Canadian look at everything in the NHL. They're so good at finding like very, very, I don't want to call them hot takes, but very good takes that can seem so practical once they walk you through exactly what you're thinking. Give that show a listen and see what they're building over at Hyperdrive Hockey. New episodes coming out Tuesdays and Fridays. All right, let's start with Connor McDavid, who was hurt 36 seconds of the Oilers' last game, a 6-1 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oilers fans are rejoicing. Hockey fans in general should be excited and happy about the fact that he's only going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Looks like a high ankle sprain, and when you have something like that, it's just they're calling it just a lower body injury, but based on how he went into the boards, it's looking like some type of ankle sprain. So 2 to 3 weeks is definitely like the kind of best case scenario, because he left the game and then immediately after flew back home to Edmonton and then got his own doctors on top of Oilers doctors to kind of get into exactly what happened. So how long is 2 to 3 weeks? Well, let's just say 3 weeks, the top part, we're taking us to roughly the 20th-ish of November. So between now and then, the Oilers have about 11 games. So a solid eighth of the schedule as I get to do live counting in on here on Game on Hockey. Now, it is a tough chunk of the schedule. It does include the biggest chunk of the Oilers' Eastern road trip, where you have a whole bunch of games squished into a very kind of small amount of time, as from November 16th up until the 23rd, they're basically playing a game every other night or more, as they roll through a Eastern Canadian swing and then end up back here at home. Best case scenario, he is back before the Oilers go on that road trip, but especially when it's Connor McDavid, you want to make sure everything's perfect before he's set, because last year he rushed himself back and it didn't work great for the team. We're probably not going to see him until about an eighth of the schedule is done. So it sucks, but this does give the Oilers a really important opportunity to figure the rest of their garbage out. My goodness. Zach Hyman is going to have to start actually putting the puck in the net. Leon is going to have to start producing at higher levels. And honestly, if this is the thing that helps the Oilers fix their putrid power play and try something new and different without feeling like you have to go back to the same thing that McDavid's done for the past 10 years of his career, hey, that's a good thing. So if the Oilers can kind of weather the storm, honestly, this could be one of those kind of galvanizing moments that really helps that team get things together. That is our main story here today, but it's not the only thing going on in the world of hockey. We also had Marc-Andre Fleury having his potentially last game in Pittsburgh that he'll ever play, as it looks like this is his final season. He took a really cute photo alongside Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby and Chris Letang on the ice beforehand. It was really sweet. It was a real cute one. Find that on the subreddit for our hockey if you want to give that a go. I think you'll be really happy you did. You also have a really interesting scratch from the LA Kings last night as Kevin Fiala, who is one of the Kings' better forwards since he came over in that trade with the Minnesota Wild a couple years ago, he missed a team meeting and was not allowed to play. So he'll probably be back for the Kings' next game. But it is interesting to see that players are being held to account on a disciplinary side within the LA Kings. I mean, they've had some odd moments over the years in many different iterations of that team. So looking to see if that's something that'll be really helpful for Kevin Fiala this season. As so far he's not been amazing over this season so far with the LA Kings. He only has 1 goal and 2 points. So if anything, you're not really missing a ton. Maybe a scratch like that can kind of jumpstart his offense and hopefully jumpstart his fantasy numbers if you are someone that has him in your league. So we have a 5-year anniversary to enjoy here in the National Hockey League. They were all the rage for a little while and they've kind of died off for a little bit, but we wouldn't see this type of goal if it wasn't for one Andrei Svechnikov, as he was the very first player to score the lacrosse goal, the Michigan-style goal, whatever you want to say that it is, the one where the player like lifts it up on their stick and then curls it around and dumps it in the top part of the net. The very first one of those was scored on October 29th, so I guess 5 years and a day for the anniversary against the Calgary Flames. As an Oilers partisan, it does make me laugh that the first Michigan-style goal in the NHL was scored on the Flames, but not just that, it was scored on one David Riddick. Oh, big save, Dave. That guy's career has been a absolutely wild one for him, and he's put together a good NHL career, so he's not by any means a bad player. It's just interesting to see the kind of huge ebbs and flows his career has taken over his livelihood. That will pretty much wrap us up here for Game on Hockey. Those are the big stories that have been kind of percolating around today. I have a couple ones we're going to dive into tomorrow as well, including that new franchise, or the 2 new franchises for the PWHL. There's a couple markets that have started to be rumored to be percolating around. One of them is also Canadian, which is really interesting to see. And it's not Western Canadian. But we'll have more on that on tomorrow's episode of Game on Hockey here on the Game Over Network. Pretty good loaded schedule tonight in the NHL, as we'll have 3 different game overs as the Devils play the Canucks in an all-Hughes Bowl. The Flames taking on Hockey Club as they'll be down in Utah, and the Jets with the early game facing off against the Detroit Red Wings. All of our markets will be going live immediately after those games are over, so you can find the immediate post-game coverage and reaction you are looking for, as we have the Jets and Red Wings at 5:30 Mountain, the Flames and Hockey Club at 7:30, and Devils and Canucks at 8:30 Mountain as well. That'll do it for me. I'm Graham Mosimann. We'll talk tomorrow on Game on Hockey.